My name is Becky Gorlin, and I teach Lego Robotics. I always make it a thing. I don't teach robotics, I teach Lego Robotics in Granite Falls School District and the Granite Falls Middle School. So during this presentation, I want to share with you all about the different ways Lego is used in my classroom. I love sharing all about what I do and what I get to use because I am well aware I have the coolest job in the world. I legitimately get paid to play with Lego. So I have been a teacher now for 7 years. I taught 3 years, I taught 2nd grade, and then now I'm on year 4 at a middle school in Granite Falls. So it's the Granite Falls Middle School. It is a public school. Now I know a lot of people say, well, where is Granite Falls? I lived here for 10 years before I found that out. So Granite Falls is about 43 miles north of here. I would say, you know where Everett is? Yeah, go east. So it is a very small town. It is 55% free and reduced lunch at my school. So meaning 55% of the students are under the poverty line. So it is very low income. We are what's called Title I. It is also a small school. I teach 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We are the only middle school in the whole district, and we have about 420 students. So it is still public school, but it is pretty small. I have used Lego in the classroom as young as kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. I have now started and created Lego robotics programs at 4 different schools, 3 of which are public schools, which I'm very proud of. So one of my biggest class rules I tell at the beginning is we are not allowed to use the word Legos. That is a cuss word. And I always tell them, if you use this word, you're gonna see Miss Gorlin cringe. So of course, they use it every day. They go around going, Legos, Legos, Legos. But sometimes when the kids think it's funny, and you know, I like hearing, oh, Legos, instead of other words. But yeah, and so on the first day of class, I always give my first grammar lesson. And that is how Lego is a proper noun, and it's used as an adjective, and what's an adjective? So, hey, it's English. It counts. So I got to be known as the Lego teacher when I brought in one of my creations from one of my students. So in 2nd grade, I had a student. He wouldn't do any work for me, was very hard to connect with, and I found out he loved Lego. So I decided, I'm like, cool, I'll bring a Lego build in. So I brought in my Disney castle and proceeded to drop it outside my car. That was fun at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning in my parking lot, trying to throw it in my car. But so I brought it, and I brought the pieces and said, I'm sorry, bud. I really tried. But what was funny was he just started laughing, and he went home. He wrote me a 3-chapter story about the princess who broke the Disney castle. And I got so much work from him from there on out. I made a great connection with the students, and I found out, I'm like, oh, so these kids love these Lego projects. By the way, he actually is in 8th grade now and still does Lego robotics at his school. I hear from his mom every once in a while. So I got known as a Lego teacher, and other kids loved to come in and see my Lego builds. I kept bringing more and more in, and they got to the point that the students, instead of bringing me actual flowers, were bringing Lego flowers. This is from Nico. That was the first one. He came in the room and was like, oh, proud of it, and of course, I was crazy about it too. So it got to the point that the students stopped bringing me any kind of flowers and just made me Lego flowers. It's gotten even worse that my boyfriend only buys me Lego flowers. So you can say worse. I think it's better, but that's it. So how it started was I was working at my school. I was walking by my principal's office, and outside her office, I saw boxes that said Lego. And I go, what's that? Can I play? And she said, oh yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you. These are Lego Education robotic kits. I have no idea what these are, but maybe you can help us, because they had just gotten all these grants for different STEM products. And I said, yeah, sure. But I don't know what these are. Never used them before. So then I was like, okay, let me try. After a few trainings and quite a few more weekends doing research, I felt comfortable enough with the kits. This is my dad, he's up in the corner. He's a software engineer, and I had limited coding experience before this, so I enlisted his help. So we spent quite a few weekends on our dining room table. That's me with the WeDo kit, he's got the EV3 kit, and we had a lot of fun. He actually still helps me tonight. He still helps me at my class from here on there and go, helping me with some of the coding tricks. Hello, come on in. You're late, but find a seat, don't worry. I won't send you to detention. Oh, sorry, I won't send you to the reset room with our one-eyed detention teacher. So I tried the We Do 2.0 kits with my second grade class. This is my second grade class, and they're very happy, as you can tell. From there, I had such a great, they were so happy to use it. I ended up starting an after-school club that a quarter of the school participated in. It got to the point they're like, okay, we gotta actually charge a little more money so less people will sign up. That didn't do anything. So I got more help, and then they would give me subs. I would go into other classrooms because I was a general education teacher. So I would go into other classrooms all the way from kindergarten to 8th grade. My favorite thing was my second graders would come with me to the kindergarten class, and they would be buddies. So my second graders would teach the kindergartners how to code, which I loved. So then when I left that school for my current school, I was hired as an English teacher, a part-time English teacher, and I said, oh yeah, by the way, I have this Lego robotics thing that I love to do. And they said, sold. Actually, apparently that's why I was hired. So they made it a full-time position to teach English and robotics. They apparently had a class set of EV3 kits that were going unused, and I was more than happy to revive it. And now I do a district-wide program, which is pretty cool. I was lucky enough to become part of the Lego Education Master Educator program. I've been doing that for the last 4 years. It is now called the Lego Education, it was Lego Education Master Educator. Now it is the Lego Education Ambassador program. So, the name's what it's doing. So I had to throw this in. This is my research trip last summer. I had to. I mean, I took my 15-year-old brother, so I wasn't the weirdo at Legoland in Denmark by myself. It was during like that 2 weeks we had COVID-free stuff. It would just happen. My trip was planned there, so I got really lucky. Okay, so here's a little video just about the complication of some of the robots. So this is, yes, so if I hold over here for the sound. Kid-made robots in my classroom. So last year I taught grades 4th through 8th grade Lego robotics at 2 different schools. So in my school district there's a 35 school and then a middle school, so I swapped between the two. Now I currently teach 6th, 7th, 8th grade robotics and 2 English classes. And of course during my English classes, any excuse to use Lego I do. I mean, hey, why not? I want to go over a couple terms I'll use that you may or may not be familiar with. So the first is STEAM. A lot of you guys may have known it as STEM. So science, technology, engineer, art, and math. So we throw in art now. In my classroom, I do use science, technology, engineering, art, and math, which I'm very proud of. CTE. So I am actually a general education K-8 teacher. That's what my certificate is in. I also have a certificate in what's called CTE, Career Technological Education. This is something that the state of Washington is doing a huge push on. CTE are trade-like classes for trade school, because especially in places like Granite Falls, college is not an option. So we're trying to push for trade, manufacturing, a lot of construction. Granite Falls has a huge agriculture. So we have classes such as culinary, agriculture, business, health science, and of course, robotics. So this is only 7th grade through 12th grade. So 6th grade is its own little weird world. So why do I use Lego in my classroom, you may ask? Good question. As a teacher, you're required to have every lesson you do aligned to state standards, state and federal standards. Lego education, all the lessons provided are standard-based. There is math and English is Common Core. State of Washington recognizes Common Core, but our science is next generation science standards. I call them next gen, and that includes engineering and coding as well. So for an example, a second grade lesson is pollination and bees. I pulled up my We Do kit and we learned about bees and pollination and made a little bee that was pollinating a flower. So it met my science standard, it met my engineering standard, and it met my coding standard, which is pretty cool. That's one of my students' faces allowed in videos. Also, Lego education provides ELA and Math Common Core. For example, a kinesthetic learner, someone who learns through their play, learns through hands, they need actions. So I will build stories. So this is an example of our students using brainstorming to come up with a story for their creation. I always love anytime you can do a hands-on activity. I always do it, of course, because I have ADHD, I can't sit still, I don't expect my kids to. That's big in my class. Also, teamwork. All my assignments are done in partners and or teams, and it makes it so my classes always got 100% engagement, which I love. They're learning how to communicate with each other, different communicating styles. Sometimes I throw in a wrench to some of our activities, and they have an anything but sound day. So they're allowed to use any other forms of communication but sound. So it's dead silent in my class. It's a rarity, which I love. Some days are more than others. They're also they're learning their problem solving skills. So a rule I have is students have to try 3 different times before I will come and intervene. If they have tried 3 different times, then I'll come help them. Usually it's their motors are not plugged in, their computer is not on, just things like that. But again, they're learning how to problem solve first. So for our younger and our special education students, fine motor skills are important. Small hands always need extra practice. These are some of my kindergarten and first grade students showing off their spaceship build. They are very proud. You can't really see it, but you can see how happy they are. But they wouldn't sit still for this picture. They're cuters. So when the students are not, so a little thing is they're not looking at screens. They're playing with their hands. It's a big thing for parents is less screen time. So in my classroom, they are coding some, but the majority of the time, they're not looking at their screens. And when they do that, their creativity really comes out. I love to see the kind of different imaginations. They just go wild. They have the craziest stories, and they make me laugh every day. This was an imaginary creature from one of the kids. So I do use different Lego education robotic kits, obviously. So I want to go over just a few I've used or have used in the past. Spike Prime, this is one of the newer sets. I use it for my 7th and 8th grade. So my 7th and 8th grade falls under the funding of CTE, so we were able to get 2 class sets of them. I have brought one with me, he's right here. So some of the things you'll recognize a lot of the pieces obviously from Technic. Some of the things you may or may not be familiar with. We have our hub. So the hub is the battery source and is connected via Bluetooth. We have 2 medium motors, 1 large motor, a touch sensor or a force sensor, a color sensor, and then a distance sensor. This is the ultrasonic sensors for distances. There's also what's called a gyro sensor. So the tilting, it determines the tilt. It's in the hub. This is something that is not in the EV3 or the NXT, which is really cool and I loved. Let's see here. So this is just an example. So the Lego provides all the coding. It is modeled after MIT's Scratch. So if you guys are familiar with Scratch.MIT, this is modeled after that. So Lego, it's kind of nice because the kids are like, it looks like a Scratch. Like, yeah, I know. Spike Essential is the brand new one provided for elementary. It's from K to 5th grade usually. Again, it is part of they go together. So in this one we have our hub again, via Bluetooth. So the Spike Prime has 6 ports, but the Essential only has 2 ports. So it's kind of, the kids have to pick and choose. We get 2 motors, 1 light matrix, this just shows off colors, and then 1 color sensor. And again, the gyro sensor is built into the hub. So 1 less port we have to use. Let's see here. So Spike Essential is a stepping stone in the new LEGO learning system. There's 4 different parts. And these are the 2 I use in my classroom pretty exclusively. The program LEGO has some wonderful builds available. These are 2 of my 5th graders working together. Here are some of my 4th and 5th graders were working together, and they decided to get some races going. And even though they weren't supposed to, they did it anyway. And I couldn't say no. I'm like, go ahead, have fun. One of their favorite was carnivals. They love to do carnival rides. We had to make sure that one wasn't falling off the table. And you can hear the sound. There's me going, don't fall. But they always kept asking me, when's Carnival Day? When are we doing more carnivals? And I only saw them once a week, so it was hard. We had to do other ones. Some of the retired kids I've also used or retiring soon. For the first one, it's EV3. So LEGO Education has the EV3 system. It's similar to the retail, but it actually is different too. So my current 6th graders, so I told you they kind of are in limbo. They're not CTE, but they're not funded by elementary. So they use the EV3. We do 2.0 is a kit I use with my 2nd graders. It is since retired, but I will always remember it as the first kit I ever used. So it always has a special place in my heart. I do partner with First LEGO League. I'm not sure how much familiar you guys are with First LEGO League or First Robotics, but there are 3 different divisions in the First LEGO League available. The youngest division is First LEGO League Discover for preschool and kindergarten age students. They're using large Duplo or LEGO Duplo, and they're discovering STEM while engaging in their natural curiosity. So this one doesn't have any motors, but it still has some functions. It's pretty awesome. Next is First LEGO League Explorer for those grades 1 through 4. In this group, they learn about real-world problems and explore the solutions while learning the fundamentals of engineering, all while using LEGO bricks. And then the last First LEGO League division is First LEGO League Challenge. This is the one I use in my classroom. In this division, students are challenged by friendly competitions, by researching a real-world problem, and coming up with their own solutions. They engage in research, problem solving, coding, engineer, all throughout this process. So this is a video I want to show you of the theme every year changes. This is this year's theme. This work. So this is the superpower theme. This is this year's theme. Move it. There. Because there'll be a video in just a moment too, another one. Okay, so last year's theme was Cargo Connect. So this year's theme is the superpowered. So a lot of the energy focus. All these builds obviously are real world aligned. They have to solve these real world problems. This was last year's Cargo Connect. I did competitions in my classroom for the last couple years because of COVID, didn't go out of our house very much. In previous years before COVID, we did go to competition. Go Mark! We're the mechanically awesome robotic kids. I have my shirt from the year that they're wearing in that thing. We had a blast. 10 students went with me to Arlington for a day. We had a lot of fun. So using the skills they initially develop in First LEGO League, they can move on to more challenging competitions such as First Tech Challenge and First Robotics Competition. These are for the high school students. So I've seen these competitions. I haven't taught these, but I do definitely the elementary levels. But they are definitely for students who want to keep going. They're amazing builds, what they do. I like to think that they got the first bug by using Lego. This is a video of tying all of them together of this year's theme.
It's more than your address. It's much more. It's your community. It's our planet. And energy is the essential resource that keeps our home running. Each time we plug in, fuel up, turn a key, flip a switch, or press a button to make something go, we're using energy that's delivered in many ways, helping to connect and power our lives. What new ideas in energy generation, efficiency, and use will help us move forward? Together, how can we help minimize the impact of energy on our global climate? These are pressing questions for our future, and innovation cannot wait. Every step forward in our society has been fueled by a source of energy, and we are constantly finding new ways to generate the energy we need to keep the wheels of innovation turning. As our world becomes increasingly connected, the next step begins with you. Use this moment to reimagine the future of energy and power your ideas forward. What you challenge yourself to create will energize you, our first community, and maybe even our own. Welcome to First Energize, presented by Qualcomm.
So what's really cool is I've actually gotten to work with some engineers from Boeing, and they always say, oh, I did first LEGO League, and I've actually got to give them to come help out in my class. It's pretty cool. Okay, so outside of First LEGO League, I can talk about First LEGO League forever, but I'll stop, I promise. Outside of First LEGO League, my students are given challenges, like 10 to 15 challenges they have to complete. Each challenge builds off the previous challenge. And so they start with motors and they go to using sensors. I have my students for about 9 weeks, and then they move on to a different CTE class. So one of my first challenges that my 6th graders will do is a rectangle perimeter. So they have to get the robot to go in just a rectangle. The challenging part about this one is I manually did the rectangles, so they're not perfect. And so they have to they get very annoyed at me. How I grade is the students have to record their project. So this is actually a student recording on a Chromebook. And they have to record it, so you can see me in the thing, move that robot. They have to record it, submit it on our online turn-in system we use called Canvas, and that's how they get the points. I showed this presentation to my kids, they're like, oh, that's, and they gave the name, they know exactly whose assignment this was. The next one they do is introducing the touch sensor. They have to touch 4 walls. I have 2 robotics tables in my class. They have to get the robot to go and touch all 4 walls. They are not allowed to run it on the floor or on a regular table because the robot table has sides so it doesn't fall off. Except for, on occasion we'll use the floor, but I usually don't let them because it's kind of gross. They're middle schoolers. Yeah. But I got the table, this one was donated by a friend of mine who made it, which I was very thankful for. But again, another in my classroom student recording with their Chromebook. Sense and return. The next one the students will work on is using the ultrasonic sensor. So they have to program the robot to go forward and then programmed to go reverse and stop using the ultrasonic sensor. Again, this is all using the EV3. So after setting the movement forward, they have to set the movement backward. They're not allowed to, like, oh, turn only, you know, a rotation back. They have to get it using the ultrasonic sensor. So challenging them. The Grab the Cube challenge uses the ultrasonic sensor with an additional arm. This is the last one my students are required to do in their 9 weeks. If they finish them early, there's lots of other options. They like it. Some students do this kind of fast because the next thing they get to do is our battle bots. It is sumo bots. I call it battle bots in my classroom because the kids think it's funny. But every quarter, my 6th graders using the EV3 will get to do their battle bots. They come up with different ones every time. I'm just amazed at what they can come up with. They have to turn over the robot or they have to push it off the arena.
Predators, Wally, ready? 1, 2, 3,
sounds like. So the girls that won this one, they were the underdogs according to the kids. I was very proud of my girls. Each time I'm amazed at what they build. My comments are funny. This battle session didn't quite go as planned. We got a lot of giggles because 6th graders have minds like that. We redid it. That's the outcome. Yeah, those are always funny. They come out pretty crazy. The next one, my 7th and 8th graders will use the Spike Prime kits, and one of the challenges they use is field tactics. I have a little field on the table, and they have to cross 4 different stars. They are not allowed to use any sensors. It has to be only motors. And again, 4 different stars. They cannot run over my little cones, and they have a lot of fun. When I say fun, that's sarcastic fun sometimes. Follow the line. So using the color sensor, another one of my harder challenges is follow the line. They will get the robot to follow different black tracks I have. And I actually do this as a competition. So they have to time it. Track 3 and 4, they have to time it and see which one can go faster. The winners receive a prize. Every quarter. Pretty cool. I have, I think, 3 teams already. Just 4 weeks into school are already on the follow the line challenge. The last one is actually my hardest one I have in my class. It's for my most advanced students. It's the mission ready. What's pretty crazy about this one is they have to actually build the module first. So the module they use, so it has to go up, hit the arm, and then the only sensors they're using here are 2 color sensors because there's only 6 ports. They have to use them for arms and motors for the wheels. And I have to lift them up and move them out. So I've only had a couple teams finish this one, and I have one, she is on her way there, and I'm very proud of her. She'll do it, I know she will. I also do non-robotic activities. These are my fun ones. I have of course I have a few containers of Lego, but of course always looking for more donations. But this is one of our robot tables with our Lego spelled out. I do Lego Masters Granite Falls Edition, I have to. And we do this every Friday. I get a lot of my inspiration for these, of course, from the show. Sometimes on our movie days, we just watch the show. So it's pretty cool. I get day in class, we just watch Lego Masters. We have done some cool challenges. My favorite one we just did was the tallest structure. So they had to only use the pieces available. They had 40 minutes, and it had to stand up on its own. 180 centimeters. That was one of my 8th graders this year. Actually, this is just last week. So 2 of my 8th grade students, they did this together. Usually, I've never had a student have to get on a table. So this is the first time they had to climb on the table. So as you can see, it is taller than him. It was pretty amazing. I was very proud of them. Imaginary creatures. This one, my favorite, a 7th grader. I said, okay guys, our challenge today is an imaginary creature. And the 7th grade boy goes, oh, so my girlfriend? Here's his imaginary girlfriend. He always had the funniest quips, but I loved it. This was during our COVID time, they only could use the pieces in there. They had like a little tub, and so I had to divide it because I had to clean them every other day. But yeah, he always had the funniest. Another favorite of mine, I know I call them all my favorite, but they're not my favorite, stop motion videos. So these I actually partner with our digital media teacher, and we do some stop motion using cloud stop motion. And this is my favorite from a 6th grader. She gave me permission to show you her work here today. So again, this is all using a Chromebook and a free website we use. And I just say, hey, here's some pieces. Let's see what you can come up with. So they're going to a restaurant here. We're working on our cameras. They're a little fuzzy, but they come up with some pretty crazy things, and I'm always amazed again. Every time I'm amazed at what my students do. So that was Layla and Brooke, and Jed helped them. But yeah. Derby car races, of course, we have to do derby car races. I have a plastic track in my classroom, and it's just me saying ready to go. They love these days. I have to pull it out multiple times a quarter. They do race on this plastic track. I give them 20 minutes to get the car set up. They work in partners of 2. They choose to work by themselves, I let them. I do give them a base with the wheels, and every class, the winners get a picture with the trophies. They don't get to take home the trophies because I have a few too many classes. But they get a picture with the trophies, and it goes on my social media, which they love to follow. Now again, another favorite of mine is we made amusement park rides. This one we actually did use our kits for these. So they had to make it move, and they had to use at least one motor. We set them up on a robot table and made an amusement park, which was pretty cool. We had some really amazing builds out of this. Yeah, and so we set them up. This is the Tower of Terror. They actually coded it to go down faster and slower up. This was actually designed by 2 of my special education students, and they only took about a week to do it. So they had about 1 class period an hour, and they did it in about a week. It was 2 of them. I was so proud of them. I'm always proud of my students. This one had 3 different motors on it. It was pretty fun to try to figure it out. The coolest part of this was the coding was actually random speeds and random number of spins. So it always changed, and it was never the same. So we learned about random. This one actually does have a sound. So this one, they actually coded it to sound. So the carousel had a sound to it. It was a little annoying listening in for about 20 minutes, but they still coded it, and very creative. They did vote on their favorite, and Clown Town won. And again, they are limited to the pieces I have in my class, so that's why the color, they had to pick those colors, but it was pretty cool. The next one we did was our roller coaster challenge. So this was at the end of last year. The cool part is we actually collaborated with our 3D coding class, our 3D printing class, excuse me, and we made the piece we needed for the car to connect to the chains. So this was 3D printed, designed by a 7th grader. A few of my students shared their roller coaster projects at our success fair, which is at the end of the year. Students are required to showcase one project they worked on all year long, and our gym is just turned into display boards and everything. It was really cool. This roller coaster, watch this area right here. So what was really cool was they noticed that the car did not reach the chain, and so they put a color sensor, and as soon as the car gets over there, a color sensor will activate the arm to push it up. It was really, I was, whoa, we could do that? Kind of my response. They came up with it. So I was really cool about that. These kids down here are showcasing their sumo bots. But we had a blast. Castle challenge. So this time they had to have a castle that hung off the edge. They get really creative. They were required to have a moat of a sort, but it had to hang off the edge. That was the hardest part of it. What they come up with, I'm always amazed at. Sometimes during our year we have theme days, like every school, and we had decades days, so we had to dress in our decades. So I like to have themed builds to go with that. So during our decades, we had MJ for some 80s. And again, this was during our COVID time when they only had a tub available in front of them. So they had limited pieces. We got a cell phone, started a cell phone in the 90s. Some of them dressed up, some of them didn't. We got the 2000s. She always had some of the pretty cool, they all got to vote on their favorites. And then my favorite, the mashup, the abstract mashup is what he called it. Yeah, he tried to do something, ran out of time, he said, I give up, threw it on the ground and said, here's my mashup, Miss Garland. We also got to do a good versus evil build. This one actually tied into my English class because they had to write a story. Oops, they had to write a story with it. So if you can see, there are 2 minifigs. They had to, each partner each got 1 minifig, and they had to come up with a story for each of them. One was good, one was evil, and they created a landscape for them to battle on. It's pretty cool. And again, they had to have a story that was required. Bridge challenge. So we learned all about the bridge suspensions and different types of bridges. And just like the show, we couldn't break the bridges. We put books on top and the books fell over. Instead of the bridge, the books fell over. So we still learned about bridges and we had a lot of fun with that. So this one, the Rebuild the Car Challenge. I was showing my students this presentation and the minute this popped up, I heard, oh my God, I hated that one. And I go, oh, well mine says the one my students was most frustrated with. So they were very frustrated with this one. They worked in partners. They had 40 minutes. They only had 30 minutes to reconstruct without instructions. So thanks to the CTE department, we were able to get 30 of the box sets. And they had to work in partners, a couple of them said groups of 3, but it was always funny. They just were, Miss Gorlin, I can't do this. And yes, you can. Again, it was just so funny. They've never done any of this before. Some of them turned out really cool. Some of them just said, screw it, I'm doing my own. Yeah. But I did this challenge with 4th graders all through 8th graders, and every single one of them did not like it. But then the students that I didn't have last year were like, well, can we do it this year? Please, 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 please. I'm like, sure, good luck. But yeah, again, some of them turned out pretty cool, but it really challenged them, and that's why I give them challenges. Sometimes I give challenges and the kids have no idea what to build. So they tell me in Lego that they don't know. So yeah, he was like, I just don't know, and so he put IDK. During the holiday season, I like to do holiday theme builds. Let's see here. So we made some ornaments. Again, all of them did their own. They had to represent themselves. So I got some trans flags, some pride flags. We got just some basic Christmas. I think someone did a menorah. I don't think I got in the picture, but it's pretty cool. But thanks to Lowe's. So Lowe's donated a tree to my classroom, and we were able to hang it up. And so we're very excited for this year's coming up. Yeah, our local department stores like to help us out sometimes. A Jackson Pollock version of Santa Claus by one of my 6th graders. He was, this one actually was unprompted. He just wanted to build it, which I was very, very excited about. So I also do use Lego in English and math classes. So like I said earlier, I do teach English. So when I taught 2nd grade, one of my favorite things to do was use it during vocabulary. They had to recreate their words in Lego. And again, more of the kinesthetic learners, they're building it, they're understanding it, they're feeling it. So it really gets those words in. This is a STEM mat I used. So down here, they actually used a paper clip. They had to, it was a monument, and then using their new learned measuring skills, they had to get in inches. So a monument and then in inches. I had ones that said centimeters, so they had to build that monument in that specific inches. And so that's what the ruler's for. And of course, working in partners. Symmetry, we learned all about symmetry. Some of the builds are pretty basic because some of my middle schoolers like to be annoying. But I love them to death anyway. Some of them kind of basic, Some of them are a little more eccentric in their symmetry, but again, we were learning symmetry, what it means, how can we apply it to our math skills and geometry. And the best thing about using in my classroom is we're just having fun. You know, they're being engaged. They don't even know that they're learning most of the time. I mean, they come for a class and they get a grade to play with Lego. As Lego said, learn through play. You know, we've got to learn in the classroom. The best way to learn is just playing around. And in 7th grade, when they come to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they've been sitting in the classroom for so long, reading a book, doing what the teacher said. So something different. You're never too old to play with Lego. Some of my 8th graders are like, oh, I'm just too old for this. I find sitting and just fiddling. It's pretty cool. That's Mark. So this is our STEAM logo at my school. So again, I've been at Granite Falls now for 4 years. My oldest robotics students are now in 10th grade, so I can't wait to see what they come up with. And so an engineer may create things, an architect will design buildings, a doctor may save life with robotic machines, but a teacher makes them all. So I love my job, and it is my life. And my friends are very annoyed at, like, the minute they say the word Lego, I go off on rants. And, oh, here, look at what my students did this day. Here, look what they did today. But yeah, so as you can tell, I love my job, and I love talking about my classroom. So of course, if you guys have any questions, I want to answer them. Also, I'm also looking for challenge suggestions that I can steal. So if you have any challenge suggestions I can steal, I want to know. So thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
So for your coding, do you use Windows, Macs? Have you used either or both? What do you think works better?
We have Chromebooks. So our school is issued one-to-one devices, and Lego Education provides the coding programs. So I use what our school provides, but they're mostly Windows or Chromebook. Yeah, it works on a lot of different, I've had iPads before. It was hard because it only worked on the iPad, but now the Spike does work on multiple different ways.
So one of our online questions, what do you need to do to get on the Ambassador Network?
Go to Lego Education. They are taking applications right now. I think the application program may have ended, but you just go onto the Lego Education website and you can find it there. Yeah, you have to make a video about what you use it in the classroom for, and then submit a questionnaire.
Yeah, my nephew is about to get into his school's Lego Robotics program, and my question is, what would you recommend his dad buy him for at-home Lego that would help with the at-school Lego?
Oh, you know what? I worked one summer at the Lego store, and I had so many parents come in. So my kid uses this in class, and I don't know what it is. And of course, me being the teacher, oh, I know exactly what they use. They use this. But the thing is, the retail, I learned retail and Lego Education is very different. They do have similar things, but at home, it is hard. I don't give homework. I can't give homework because they can't take these kids home. If they're able to buy one, you can buy these kits like the Mindstorm. Is Spike Prime. The Mindstorm works, the new Mindstorm. But a lot of it is just stuff they do in class because working with others, that's part of the other important aspect of it is learning how to communicate. But the Mindstorm, you can buy these online for non-education purposes. But for me, I know the biggest thing is how to work with each other. So any kind of Lego though always works. Pricing your builds.
Another online question. What software do you use for the stop motions?
Cloud Stop Motion. CloudStopMotion.com. You can get a free 2 gig account. My school purchases, so we have 50 gigs. And yeah, just CloudStopMotion.com. It's pretty cool. I love it.
I know you're looking for challenges to steal, but where have you gone for your current stolen challenge? Where do you steal from usually?
I'm a dedicated fan of Lego Masters. So I watched that for research, of course. And so a teacher's best friend, we call it TPT, Teacher Pay Teachers. They have a lot of awesome things. So I actually got these, like, I have 100 cards, and each card has 4 different build ideas. So I've had those from TPT. Just honestly, teacher websites have some really awesome things. Like
Thank you.
TPT.
There's the online suggestion.
Yeah, I've gotten like a different build for 30 days.
What's the criteria for starting a first Lego league? And
So-
do you have to be an educator?
No, you can do after school clubs. It's like she wants to start to say that one. You need a club, a group of 4 to 10 students. You can register on First, so there's First Washington and First
First Inspires.
Inspires. Thank you. I'm sliding on that. But you need funding, so you need at least 1 robotic kit, and then you need to buy the team membership. Again, through the state first, and then a place to meet. Season opens in August, September, and then our competitions are the first week in December, first 2 weeks in December, and that's your qualifying rounds.
You can still register teams in Washington.
Actually, it closed yesterday.
Did it close yesterday?
It closed on the 30th because I had to make sure my payment was in. It was kind of an interesting deal on Friday, trying to make sure our payment went through. But yeah, it's the kit, funding, place to meet, and the students, obviously. And then you do need 2 adults as mentors. So that was the problem I had my first year, was I was the only robotics teacher. So I got my CT director to be my other mentor. But yeah, there's 2. And then sign up, and they have to do background checks. Obviously, any kind of program working with students has background checks. Any other questions? Any suggestions for builds? I can do it in my classroom. I want to steal some.
There's one online.
Oh, there's one online?
I'll read that one. Have them build something on a base plate, then submit their mocks to wind, like a fan, water, so a spray bottle, earthquake, so shaking the table, and projectile, so throwing a stuffy at it. Usually they
I like
all
that they
stand
say
up to the
stuffy,
challenges,
sorry.
but it's fun.
Sorry, I'm just proud that someone said stuffy. People never know what a stuffy is when I say that. So I love it. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, right behind you.
I was thinking, I noticed a lot of your slides have a lot of the empty plates with little small things. I would have a challenge, maybe they have to use the entire base plate. It's like,
Yeah. Okay, cool. I like that. Steal that. Yeah.
There's another one online.
Another one from online. Have a team speed build where a team of 2 has to build a set, but only one can see the instructions but not the pieces, and the other can see the pieces but not the instructions.
Yep. I love that one. Stealing it. Thank you, online listener. I am stealing that. Also, the one with the sock build. I'm totally doing that in my classroom now too. And I got a lot of like the Fast Guard Challenge, and I got a dot center, all from my trip to the Lego house. I got all that stuff from my classroom, all the ideas, I should say. Cloud stop motion, again, idea from the Lego house, which is pretty cool. So, I think we're actually right at time.
Yep.
And of course, I would love to talk. Please follow me on Instagram, Gorlin the Lego Teacher. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.